state we covered in the last session. Natural state is the highest state that we understood. Natural state means that we are living in happiness, peace. We are living in meditation, or you can say the meditation is living in us all the time. But what happens that we cannot live in that state of meditation all the time? That is what we are going to understand in today's session. In today's session, what we have, what destroys the natural state and how? And the simple thing is psychology of desires. What is that psychology of desires? All the desire takes the shape of thoughts. Because if I don't have, I want smartphone, I want PC. Huh? I like her or him, he is a soulmate. Huh? You see that? All desire takes the form of a thought. And these thought patterns always runs in our mind. Always runs in our mind. Pay attention, Lara and everyone. Thoughts are of many types. Some of them we know. Some of them we know a little. Some of them enters from the past impressions stored in the mind, and some of them from the previous lives that we have covered in the previous series. Some of them are in the seed form, waiting expression. Thoughts, psychology of desires, we are understanding. So we are covering the 2, 3, or I would say 4 texts together, the Gita, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and 2 more. That makes everything clear in our life. And if I have to empty the mind of all these thoughts which do not pop up in the mind, but it has an impression. What that impression? The mind, someone's, your honey says, honey says, bring a cup of tea. And the mind says, no, I'm not interested. So it comes out with kind of a resistance. So many thoughts are deep inside, many thoughts are at the conscious level, some thoughts we want to hide, they are also present. So we have to understand the psychology of desires based on these thoughts. Thought is a desire. So now we will understand simple principle. I have covered many times, but I'm covering again from the Gita. I see an object, anything outside, and the mind is impulsive, habitual, and instinctive. 3 things. Just take it 3 things. Mind is instinctive, impulsive, and habitual. And I see a thing, instantly my mind says I like it or I dislike it. So when it is, I like it and I like it and I. So liking and disliking causes, liking and disliking causes what? I start thinking about it. Now, one thought multiplied into millions of thoughts because I have started thinking about it. And then that thinking causes the attachment and detachment. Attachment and detachment causes the desire in the mind. So you see that the thoughts are already there. One thought of liking and disliking, and the mind starts thinking, chain series of the thoughts, and those thoughts lives in the mind. Then the thoughts causes an attachment and detachment. Attachment and detachment causes the desire. Are you getting it? Simple. Simple. So now what happens when I have a desire? So it says, what says? Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smrati vibhrama. Smrati भ्रंशात buddhinasha. Buddhinashat pranashyati. You see, we have started with instinctive, impulsive, habitual mind. So that creates liking, disliking. I started thinking attachment and detachment cause the desire, and desire fulfilled, pleasure. Desire unfulfilled, anxiety. Fear, pain, and the pleasure are siblings. So now desire fulfilled. So mind always has a doubt whether my desire will be fulfilled, whether my desire will not be fulfilled. So the pleasure and the pain and the fear is always there. All the three causes the delusion. And what is delusion? I liked, I like that girl. For example, only Sam is younger, so yeah, I like that. So now what happens? You start thinking about it. You start thinking. The mind says she or he is my soulmate, but actually it is not. It is delusion. What I see, what seems to be true, it is not true. That happens at every moment in my life. Let me take a cup of tea. I have a headache. If the headache is gone, very good. If the headache is not gone, that cup of coffee is not valid. So delusion comes. Now, see, do you remember where we started? We started with mind, that is habitual, impulsive, and instinctive. Now, did that delusion leads to loss of memory and loss of intelligence, and it goes back to the same state of the mind, instinctive, habitual. So my mind continues to move around that instinctive mind because loss of intelligence, because loss of memory, and because my mind is moving in a circle. So all these thoughts are understood as vritti, thought modifications. Are you getting it? It does not want, it cannot break that circle. And that is what is the psychology of desires. And that is why we continue to suffer. I have an extreme attachment to the money. What I will do? What I will do? I will try to hold on to that money in my mind in an instinctive way, in an habitual way, in an impulsive way. Do you see that? Anything in the world. That is what the psychology of desire, and that will not help you to live in peace and happiness. That delusion, thought causes delusion. Here I compare, Lara is listening. Here I compare. Do you know what is amnesia is? Do you know what is dementia is? See, it is not that the doctor diagnoses you that you are suffering from dementia or amnesia. You have to find out here and now. I'm just comparing it. I'm not diagnosing anything, not entering into the medical profession. Dementia is a general term of a loss of memory, loss of language, problem solving, other thinking abilities. What I'm what I'm doing by inviting these thought patterns. Tell me what I'm doing. What I'm doing by creating a cycle. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just explaining you. So Doctors, medical science says there are 7 stages of Alzheimer's disease. No impairment, in the young age. I see, I can remember everything and there is no problem. But now thoughts are present in millions. So the medical profession, doctors, scientists explain Alzheimer's means loss of memory or symptoms of dementia. In the first stage, you're happy. In the second stage, you feel the very mild decline. Third stage, mild decline, moderately severe, and ultimately memory loss is there. Can I take care of the mind from today? Can I change my perception? Can I change my perception? Do you see that? I related psychology of desires with this problem of amnesia and dementia. That is what the doctor also, our Eastern wisdom also says. Loss of memory, loss of intelligence leads to that, causes the suffering. So here the doctor is saying you simply have a loss of memory, but no, we have a lot of other problems that we have in our life. We start blaming and reacting and fighting, etc., to the people. So the master says, get rid of this attachment and detachment. It doesn't mean that you should not work. Work, work, work. Walk on, walk on, walk on. After understanding, we have to get rid of the very first factor, that is attachment and detachment. That causes the desire. But it doesn't mean that we should not work. We should continue to work. Mind should be calm, not to dictate over the intellect. Then only one succeeds in meditation. This mind will cause and create a lot of issues. Oh, what is this meditation? Today I did it. It doesn't work. You have accumulated millions of the thoughts for the last 10 years and you want one session to take care of you? Last point, and then we will do the practice. That desire lives in the sense organ. That desire lives in the mind. That desire lives in the intellect. You have to catch hold of the desire living in the sense organ. Who will do that? Intellect. But if the intellect is not dominated, dictated by the mind. How it is dictated by the mind? You have the answer. Mind is impulsive, habitual, instinctive. That does not give a time for the intellect to think it over, to contemplate and reflect. You can be in peace at any time in life. That is the basic fundament. Are you getting it? Are you understanding that point? You have to listen to it again and again and to come to the point. Come to the point. Why we are doing it? Last point. What is the goal? Meditation or mindfulness. What is that goal? Emptiness of the mind. All the crazy thoughts. Can I live separately from all these thoughts? To live into that peace and happiness, to ask the peace to enter into any work, in any relationship, at any point of time. So that is why we understood the psychology of desires. And now we will do the practice and we will close your eyes.